Hi there. Today is just going to be a review day of what we were doing yesterday, where we were trying to factor these trinomials when all of a sudden there was a coefficient of some sort in front of our squared term. That added a twist to it, so I'm just going to kind of practice a few of these. Now, your homework was to do 1 through 10. And if you felt comfortable and you kind of were in the groove, you could keep on going to the next page, and that would be good. Let's go ahead and take some time, though, to practice again what we were doing. We started off and we had to find the factors. So the factors of 5 are simply 1 and 5. And the factors of negative 28 could be negative 1 and 28, could be negative 2 and 14, or it could be negative 4 and 7. I think that's all that's going to go in there. Now, some of you caught on yesterday and were able to kind of just look at matching up this one with this and the 5 with the 28 and see if you got it. Or you could go down to this one, or maybe then you had a trade. Remember doing that? All right, if you got the hang of that and could do that, then you can continue that. I'm going to go ahead and show it since we're reviewing for if it was a struggle for you. I'm going to go ahead and do the thing where, hey, sometimes we just have to erase it. I'm going to go ahead and write it out. I know that my firsts are going to have to be 1x and 5x. That comes from this. This is the first. My lasts are going to be these numbers. Now I can try any of these that I want to try. I kind of look at this number to see how extreme it is. You know, a 13, that's not huge. I don't think I would jump right into the 1 and 28. I could maybe do the 2 and the 14. I could do the 4 and the 7. Remembering that one of these numbers is going to have to get multiplied by 5. Sometimes if you just look at it a little bit, you're going to be able to figure it out in your head. If that's you, then that's great. If that's not you, we're going to play some guess and check. I'm probably going to stick with sort of my middle of the road numbers as opposed to my more extreme numbers, the factors that are close to one another. And I'm going to put in then my negative 4 and my 7. So it doesn't really matter where I put them because I'm going to acknowledge that I'm going to be doing some erasing today. Then what you do is you check and see if your outer and inner get you this negative 13v that we want. Oh, I put x's. I should have put v's. Sorry. This is negative 4x. I'm going to pretend they were x's. And a positive 35x. Does that add up to 13? Or really negative 13? Nope, it sure does not. What that means is my 7 and 4 might still be the right numbers, maybe they're in the wrong place. So that's when you grab your eraser and you say, oh, never mind, I'm going to put my minus 4 here and my plus 7 over here. And you have to erase these because this is going to change now. Put your minus 4 here and your plus 7 there. Now let's check outer and inner. Now I have a positive 7x and a negative 20x. Is that going to add up to this negative 13 that I want? In fact, it does. All right. Even my sign is correct. Sometimes the sign is wrong. If that's the only thing that's wrong, then you can just trade what those signs are. But I'm good to go. That's exactly what I want it to be, so I'm done. Here's another example. I've got a 7x squared, so my first I know are going to be a 1 and a 7. Last is a negative 60. I have lots of options for negative 60. It could be negative, means one of them has to be negative, so negative 1 and positive 60. That would multiply to negative 60, or negative 2 and 30, or negative 3 and 20, negative 4 and 15. Lots and lots of options. Negative 5 and 12, negative 6 and 10. I think that's all of them. Okay. I'm going to set up my parentheses. And my firsts are going to be 1x and 7x. And then I have to find just the right factors over here so that when I combine them, I'm going to end up with a positive 64x. Now if I look at this, I know that one of my numbers on my outer and inner, since one of these is negative, one of my numbers is negative, which means I'm going to have a really big positive number so that I end up with a positive 64. I'm probably going to want to take this 7 times something that's going to build it up pretty big, something around the 64 area, which means probably not 7 times 60. That's monstrous. That's way too big. 7 times 30 is too big. 7 times 20 is probably too big. Let's go down here. Let's just start with 7 times 10, and then we'll see where that takes us. If you want to take the 7 times the 10, so I'm going to put in a plus 10 and a minus 6. This might be right, it might not. Remember, we're going to play guess and check and maybe have to erase. That's a negative 6x, and that's a positive 70x. If you combine those together, oh, I got lucky there. That actually works, doesn't it? That's my positive 64x. Didn't mean for that to work out the first time, but sometimes we get lucky. I'm done. Let's try this one. This is a little bit different because my first term, my 4, has options. It could be a 1 and 4, or it could be a 2 and 2. Factors of 24. Now this is positive, so they're either both going to be positive or they're going to both be negative in order to end up at this positive 24. Now do you think, do we want this to be a positive and a positive, or do we want this to be a negative and a negative? Well, look at where you're headed. You want it to end up a positive 35. So that means you want these to be positive. Remember, this means they're going to be the same sign. Since it's a plus, they're both going to be whatever that one is. Other factors would be 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. We set up our parentheses. And first, you can either use 1 in and 4 in, or you can do 2 and 2. What do you want to try? All right, I heard you say 2 in and 2 in. Okay, not really, but I'm just throwing it in there. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Now 35 is not a real extreme number. It's a little bit bigger than what these are. If I'm going to do 2 and 2, then I'm going to try with the 4 and the 6. Those are both positive, so let's put plus and plus in there. And then you check your outer and your inner. Outer is 12 in, inner is 8 in. That adds up to 20 in. Remember, we're shooting for 35 in, and that's not it. Now this is interesting. Look at what happens if you trade the 6 and the 4. If you trade the 6 and the 4, you're still on both of those. They're both getting multiplied by a 2, because I went with the 2 and 2 option. So if I put the 6 here and the 4 here, I'm still going to have an 8 in and a 12 in, and that's going to add up to 20 in. That isn't going to be right either. It's not really going to help me to trade them since they're both getting multiplied by 2. So let's throw in the 3 and the 8. Let's see what happens. That is a 16 in and a 6 in. That adds up to 22 in. It's not big enough. I got to get bigger. Let's go to that 2 and 12. Oh, crud. I'm going to try 2 and 12. Outer gets me 24 in. Inner is 4 in. That adds up to 28 in. I'm just not big enough. I got to get this up to 35. Now remember, I could trade the 2 and the 12, but it's not going to matter because I'm going to end up multiplying by 2 on both of them. And before I even bother, what if I put in the 24? What's 24 times 2? Well, that's 48. Now I've gotten too big. You know what I think I found out? I think I found out that 2 and 2 is not right. Let's erase. I don't think these initial ones are going to be 2 and 2. I'm going to have to change that. I'm going to X out the 2 and 2 because I know I've tried that and it's not going to work. Now I'm going to put in a 1 in and a 4 in. And this time, when I do outer and inner, I want that to add up to 35. Hopefully we start getting a little bit smart about our choices and put in some numbers that are going to get us up there a little bit higher. So I'm going to have to take 4 times something to get me up towards the 30 area. I'm thinking the 8. 4 times 8 would be 32. But if I put in a plus 8 there, I'd have to put in a plus 3 over there. I don't know, what's that going to get us? 32n and 3n. There's our 35n. We've got it. Okay, n plus 8, 4n plus 3. That one took us a while. And that's going to happen. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. All right, how are you doing on this? Is it all coming back? Okay, if you think you've got it and you can do I'm going to have you do the next one on your own. Okay, here's your problem. I gave you one that has different factors for that leading coefficient, so this could be 1 and 8, or it could be 2 and 4. You have to choose. And then over here I have a negative 27, so that could be negative 1 and 27. It could be negative 3 or 9. You're trying to end up with a negative 6n. Pause the video, go find some scratch paper, you do this one on your own. All right, I'm going to go with my 2 and 4, so 2n and 4n. And then I'm going to choose negative 3 and positive 9. I don't want to put my 9 in here where it's going to get multiplied by the 4. That's going to get too big. I'm going to put the 9 where it gets multiplied by the 2. I'll put the negative 3 in there. And by negative 3, it's like a minus, and that's a plus. 18n and negative 12n. Add that up, I get 6n. Oh, that's so close. I want a 6, but I want it to be a negative 6n. What does that mean I need to do? Swap those signs. This is now going to be a plus, and this plus sign is going to be a minus. Now my factors are going to work out because now I have a negative 18n and I'm going to have a positive 12. That's going to get me my negative 6n that I want right here. All right, I have one more for you. Okay, here's our last one. And again, I'm going to have you try it on your own. You're going to start off and look at what your factors are. So it's 1 and 10 or 2 and 5. Factors of a positive 6 could be 1 and 6. Now, they could both be positive or they could both be negative. Because this is a positive, my signs have to be the same. They're both going to be this. Minus, minus. Or it could be a minus 2, minus 3. You pause the video and go find the factors. Okay, quit cheating. Pause the video. Don't wait for me to do it. I'm not going to do it. Okay, maybe I'm going to do it. All right, what do you want to do? 2 and 5 or 1 and 10? I'd probably lean towards the 2 and 5. I don't know. You should have already done it. You tell me. 2m and 5m. Now, I kind of need to build my negatives up so that I can get a negative 19 at. But they're both negatives, right? So they're both going to end up negative to add up. I think I would like to have a negative 15. I'm going to put a negative 3 there. That means I'd have to have a negative 2 over there. There's my negative 15m. Is it going to get me what I need for my outer? Negative 4m. Yep, that adds up to negative 20. All right, you get better and you get faster at it the more that you do. So today we're just hammering out a bunch of them. All right, go work on your homework for a little bit.